Stephen.
Could I just take you away from this at the general to the specific and turn to Appendix 4, please, and the case of the Greater Manchester Waste Disposal Authority, which was the key one, I think, taken forward by TIFU. Yeah. There it says that one of the key drivers of the deal was not the issue of value for money, but the EU Land Directive. The need to reduce waste by 50% on 95 levels by 2013, and that this scheme was covering 5% of national waste. And just trying to understand to what extent you were looking at these objectively as value for money deals, or whether there were other things driving the need to complete.
I think there are two answers to that, which I will split if I may. One is, from TIFU's point of view in particular, TIFU did not have a policy role. TIFU was there to provide liquidity to the market. The policy around VFM for each individual deal is a decision for the authority and supported by the policy team within Treasury. So I think it's wrong to say that VFM was not a driver for all PFI deals, but I will defer in terms of that particular one, because TIFU was very much set up to respond in a commercial manner rather than establish policy for Treasury.
Charles will be able to help on the policy side.
If I could just add to that, so I was head of policy at the time. Obviously in the case of the Manchester Waste deal, there was an external imperative to building that facility and indeed other facilities in the sector, as there is in many PFI deals. That I think does not mean that we do not look for value for money in the transaction. So we know that waste facilities have to be built. There is sort of choice about the method of procurement and financing for that transaction, and we would apply the same value for money test to a deal which has to be built for EU reasons as we would apply to a deal that has to be built for any other public sector reason.
Sure. Well, what I'm driving at is I'm just trying to understand what pressures were driving this, because when we looked at a previous hearing at the multi-role tanker aircraft, instead of using the 3.5% discount, which was Treasury guidelines in 2004, an out-of-date 6% was used because the MOD just didn't have the money for these planes, but there was a military requirement. So there was a defence imperative to get on with this deal. What I'm trying to understand with this one, whether there was a legal and regulatory driver that was, in essence, shaping the thinking. Linked to that, what were the sunk costs on this deal at the point when you were deciding whether it was value for money?
Well, to take the first point, there certainly were external drivers, I think, as we've discussed, so that's established. I don't know the precise quantum of the sunk costs. On the authority side, that's Greater Manchester Waste, there will have been quite substantial sunk costs incurred in its advisors and its own resources going into the deal. We can find out what those are and let you know.
But as a ballpark figure, this is a contract worth £3.8 billion. If it didn't go ahead, how much would have been spent in very broad terms?
I would estimate on the public sector side, something in the region of £5 to £10 million would probably have been spent.
Okay. And in terms of jobs, because this was in the northwest, so there's probably a political driver, a lot of marginal seats up there in 2009-10. This was a project covering 36 recycling facilities across 23 sites. How many jobs would have been linked into this going ahead?
I believe the authority press release at the time articulated 5,000 jobs.
So about 5,000 jobs in the run-up to a general election. Okay. Could I then just come to the figures? Because at paragraph 1.7, page 16 of the report, it says, a review of a sample of outline business cases by Partnership UK estimated that all cases remain value for money at higher bank risk margins of 3%. But if we look at this deal, the margins start at 3.25% and go up post year 21 to 4.5. And what I'm driving at is, when you assess those as value for money, were you including refinancing within that assessment?
No. We never include the possibility of refinancing gains within value for money assessments, simply because it's speculative. We don't know whether those deals will be refinanced or not.
So what assessment were you making about refinancing on this deal?
We were not assuming the possibility of any refinancing gains. Can I just make one point on that? We would never assume, and we would never ask an authority to assume the possibility of refinancing gains. Our role, if you like, is to set out how authorities should go about doing their value for money assessments rather than doing the individual value for money assessment on every deal that went through during this period of time.
Sure. You approved every deal?
We approve every deal when it goes into procurement. So we take deals through something called a project review group, which approves that they should go into procurement, yes.
So post credit crunch,